Hello, this is for Sunday the 1st of August, the ninth Sunday after Trinity, and the Gospel reading is John chapter 6 verses 24 to 35, Jesus talking to the crowds about true bread. Well, we all know good bread when we see it, especially when we smell it and taste it. And the background story to this little passage is Jesus feeding the 5,000, or more than 5,000 men, plus women and children, which had happened in the verses before. And so amazed by this were the crowds that they followed Jesus. You could say they hunted for him, and they got to his destination before he did, which was Capernaum, where he had a house. They have a little conversation, and it may be what drove them to go after him was because the bread he gave them was high quality, perhaps rather like the best quality wine that he gave to the wedding guests at Cana. Or it may be that they wanted just to see another sensational miracle, or sheer curiosity, or even the thought that this may be the new leader, the new Moses, come to lead the people into a new life and freedom. The comparison with Moses must have been in their heads. They would have known their Bible stories. They wouldn't have called them that, of course, and they would have known the story of the manna feeding the people of Israel in the wilderness when Moses was their leader. But Jesus wants to lead them away from this focus on physical food to a deeper understanding, and so he says, do not work for the food that perishes, but for the food that leads to eternal life. And what he wants to do is to take them away from the bread that he's provided, to make them focus on the provider. Who is doing the providing? And that's an interesting question, because on the one hand you could say it's Jesus, but Jesus points out to them that in the Moses story it's not Moses who provides the manna that the people of Israel eat, it's God who provides it, and Moses gives the directions for it. So Jesus is pointing to the great provider who is God, who provides the true bread. But that true bread, that eternal nourishment that God is providing, is Jesus himself. And this, if you could say, is one of the kind of tensions, contradictions, paradoxes of Christianity, is that Jesus meets an immediate need in feeding those thousands of hungry people. But at the same time, he wants to point them away from just a concern with physical things, moving from a material understanding to a physical one. The church, and we are still challenged to provide for people when they need it, and the food banks are a classic example of that, which are largely church-run and church-based and church-inspired. And we are physical bodies, and that's something the church should and does celebrate. We take bread and wine at our communion service. Jesus himself became a human being, lived on earth just like us. But we're asked to see beyond this, to the bread that will nourish our souls. And that, of course, is a self-giving love found in Jesus Christ, the true and living bread. And it's having that link and relationship with him that brings us closer to the God who provides for us all.